Hey AfterBuzzers, it's the AfterBuzz TV after show for Billions, Season 1, Episode 10, Quality of Life. Join us and special guest Condola Rhoades as we break down the episode, give you our thoughts and our predictions. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Throwback.
Chumbawamba. Get
90s moves. Like,
Happy Easter, everybody. It's the AfterBuzz TV after show for Billions. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. I'm going to do a quick panel introduction so we can get to our special guest in just a minute. First of all, JB Zimmerman is here.
Yes, you guys can follow me at Hey John Blake.
And Andrea Fasano.
Hey guys, happy Easter. Follow me at Andy Fasano.
And Alina Vision.
Hey, you can follow me at Alina Vision.
We're happy to be back. A great episode to discuss, but we have a special guest tonight, so we want to get to her right away. She is a Tony Award, Theater World Award, and Drama Desk Award nominee, but we love her the most as Kate Sacker on our favorite show, Billions. Please welcome in Condola Rhoades to the show. Condola, how are you?
Yeah. I'm doing just fine. How are you?
We're wonderful. Thank you so much for taking some time out to discuss the episode with us. You have been one of our favorite characters all season long.
From episode 1.
Yes.
From episode 1, you've been...
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I gotta say, thank you. You're one of the first people to actually say my name correctly. I was actually very good at practice now. That's called me Condola. That's amazing.
My pleasure. I'm brushing off my shoulders right now, saying thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I did my homework, so I've got some deeper questions for you a little later on.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Well, first of all, the big development with you this episode was you and Brian finally hooking up.
Yeah.
Let me just say, the chemistry between you guys is just so real, and you could feel, even while we were watching it, once the scene, that master was shot where you're both in the apartment together, we knew it was coming. So what was it like shooting that scene and knowing that, the moment was finally here?
Well, what's really great is that me and Toby, that is the actual actor who plays Brian,
yes,
we have a really awesome trust level, and we're good friends, and so it was actually very exciting to do, because we were like, okay, how are we finally going to do this? You know what I mean? Like, how are we going to do this and figure it out? And so we kind of just organically, found a way to finally bring it together. But it was something that was been building up all of the season. So it was something where we didn't want to let anybody down. So it's one of those things where we kind of just had to find it in rehearsal, and we, tried a bunch of different ways, and it kind of came together. Luckily, again, it makes it so much easier when you are working with an actor that you have a trust level with and that you connect with on a friendship level, and because it makes it so much easier to, okay, what are we going to do today, dude? We're homies, so we can kind of just figure it out. So it was great. It was actually really, really great.
That's awesome.
We were also, prior to this episode, we because everything that you're finding out, we didn't know until we did the table read for each episode. So we never know when something's going to happen until it happens. So we were all wondering, okay, I don't know when this is going to happen, or if it is even going to. Maybe they're going to have us go a different route at some point. We didn't know. So when this happened, it was kind of like, oh, well, here we go.
Well, and speaking of that, since you didn't find this out right away, this was not a relationship that was present in the pilot episode or even the second episode.
No, and it actually wasn't even planned in the pilot. Apparently, they just kind of saw our vibe, and then they went off of it. They're like, okay, well, actually, we're seeing this starting to build just organically, and so we're going to go with it. But originally, that wasn't even the plan of. I don't think that was in the plan of the show. Actually, they just kind of added that as we went along.
Well, and then also you mentioned in another interview that Kate, the character of Kate, was initially just supposed to be a one-time guest star, and that they, after you audition, they built the character more and more. So on some level, that's got to make you really proud to say, we've got something really great happening here, and then the creators liked it enough to expand on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I actually do feel very proud about that, and very humbled at the same time, because I went into it. I went into it knowing that it was going to be a guest star, so I was just happy to do that. That's great. That'll be great. And then I went in, and then the next thing I knew, it was like, actually, we're going to build on it. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, no problems there. It's great. So yeah, it feels really good. And to be in such a cast of such amazing actors. I remember the first time we did a table read, I remember just feeling so blessed to even being in the room and kind of honored to be able to put my 2 cents in this cast. It's great.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you answered with sort of one of my questions with, how early you guys knew about it, and it sounds like you do each episode by itself, which is interesting.
Oh yeah, we don't know. It's like we come in. Basically, how it works is that we come in and we'll read one episode and then we do it, and then maybe like halfway through doing that episode, we'll be called in for another table read for the next episode, and that's when we find out what happened. So often, I feel like the trickiest part in being in a show like this is that, because I come from the theater world, that's where my footing is, and so the big difference is in the theater world, we have the whole play. I know what happens in the beginning all the way to the end. And so it's like we're working out how to get from point A to point B, whereas when you're working on a show like this, you don't know what point B is. You start at point A and you just go where they kind of write you. You don't know. It's like, okay, next episode this might happen or this might not happen. You don't know. And you have to kind of just like find your footing as you go versus knowing exactly where you're going to end up.
Right.
And
That's
even
really
now,
interesting.
luckily, I'm very happy we've been picked up for season 2, but we have no idea where we're going.
What can happen?
Only the writers know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I guess, do you...
So it's like
Because of that, do you find yourself as an actor making a lot of decisions and kind of taking the reins a little bit, like with how you act with Brian, not knowing if you are going to actually get in a relationship with him? Like, does that affect like how much, like how flirty you play the scene, or?
Right. Okay. So how that works for me is like naturally because I naturally gravitate towards being like in a safer zone of like, okay, well, I don't know where they're going to go with this, so I don't want to go too far in that direction. But at the same time, in order for the audience to really connect with it, whatever they give you at the time, you have to go very far in that direction, and then just trust where they're going to bring you. And so it's like all of a sudden, if they then show you another part of your character that you weren't aware of, you then just have to somehow make sense of that. I'm like, okay,
That's so.
Right.
It sounds.
time, but now I'm going to add that to what I was doing, and so it becomes like puzzle pieces where you're never really sure. But in order to give a full performance every single episode, you have to go extremely far and just you have to make bold choices. It's like go big or go home.
That's so interesting. I've never heard an actor kind of describe that process like that. So that's really cool. Thank you for bringing that to our attention and kind of sharing that with us. It almost feels like taking improv to like the next level. You know what I mean? Like really committing and
like,
trusting.
Yes,
I'm so excited. We seriously have loved you since the Tinder conversation in the first episode. And we were like, something about you just stood out, which I think is a true testament to just, whatever you said and just how you come across on screen. So kudos for that.
Thank you.
This show has such strong actors and such strong writing. Do you get to watch the show outside of your role in it? And I kind of want to know what's one of your favorite storylines or what's going on in Billions that you kind of like the most?
It's so funny. A part of my biggest journey with Billions has been the difference between being a part of it on the inside and then watching it as an audience member. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something that once again, because I come from the theater, in the theater, we don't get that part. We're always on stage. We're never an audience member.
Right.
And so, like, this is something that I'm getting used to. They're like, oh, I'm an audience member now. So now I'm actually just experiencing what everyone else is, and that's a different part. That's a completely different experience from being on the inside of it. So I think that I would say that how do I put it? Like, it's like. It's just very, very, it's very cool to be on the outside because it's like there are certain aspects of the show that I didn't necessarily pick up on just reading it. And I pick up on now watching it. Like, oh, that's what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like,
and you're not privy to them,
when
so
they wrote that.
Exactly.
Because so we have table readings, and those are all extremely fun and extremely great. But again, until you see it, you don't really understand like what it is that the writers are really going for until you actually see it in process. And then also when you see it like with music attached to it, with certain shots that they chose, and editing. All of that comes into play, and that's not there when we're reading it at a table. And so it's like all of a sudden it takes a different life. But in terms of storyline, I am so intrigued by Chuck Rhoades and Maggie Sipp's character. Maggie Sipp is I mean, it's so awesome watching that whole story unfold. And like I said, when I watch every single episode, I know what's going to happen. But watching it is such a different journey, and it doesn't matter that I know what's going to happen, because watching it unfold becomes way more important than actually knowing what's going to happen in the end.
That's cool.
Because of the amazing actors that they've attached to him. Maggie Sipp is amazing. Don't get me wrong, every single person in the show blows my mind, but just specifically when I watch her, I mean, it's really, really fascinating to watch, even though I know what happens.
Well, speaking of, being able to watch the show, when you were, filming it, doing the table reads, we often talk about, Team Rhoades versus Team Axe. And we got like our thing going on here. So I want to know, when you were filming it, were you Team Rhoades or Team Axe? And now that you get to watch it back, are you Team Rhoades or Team Axe?
Oh, I'm totally Team Rhoades.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That's where I live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
She said that's where I live. That's awesome.
And again, you can't help it, because that's just where that's the world that I live in. But oddly, also the way that we shot it was like, okay, so the Team Axe side. I mean, we're all family, and that's the way. Luckily, they really got this amazing group of actors together, so like everybody melds very well. You know what I mean? Like everyone gets along very well. It's a very friendly group of actors, and it's fun. But the way that it's shot is it's kind of like every single episode, they'll spend a certain amount of time on Axe World and a certain amount of time on Rhoades World. So we don't often see each other when we're shooting, actually.
Right.
Like I don't really get, I don't, unless we're doing a table read, I don't really see the Axe side. So it almost feels very real in that way, where like we don't see on enemy territory. You know what I mean? So like, for example, there was actually one episode. There was one episode that we shot. I think it might have been episode 3, where I had to shoot a scene where I was basically I had to shoot a scene with another person that worked at the U.S. Attorney's office, and we shot it. But we shot it in the same building where Axelrod's territory is, and it even felt weird.
Oh,
like,
that's so funny.
Felt like I was on someone else's turf. It was very
Cool.
it was really weird. Like whoa, like hold on, I feel like I'm on enemy's turf.
That's so funny, and such an interesting new dynamic for you. Your background, you grew up in New York, but yet went to school at Cal Arts, and then find yourself back in New York, being in plays, and you're Juliet and Romeo and Juliet recently. There's a lot of Shakespeare happening in this show. Have you seen the parallels too, or is it just me?
No.
Actually, it's interesting that you would say that, because honestly, until you just said that, I had not made that parallel. But now that you're saying that,
Frank's really insightful.
Cool.
I don't know if you know that.
Very cool, man. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Actually, cool.
Of course. I mean, it's pretty simple. You have the two sides, obviously, that just cannot get along with each other. And even today, during the funeral scene, the pained handshake between Axe and Rhoades was just like so monumental, and nothing was said really. No. But now that you get to
strange.
It's so strange. And now that you get to see some of the Team Axe stuff, I want to get your reaction to the Dollar Bill and Bobby scene that we saw tonight, the fake argument. What'd you think of that?
Oh, well, here's what I say about that. That was, when we read that, we were rolling.
Crying,
when
right?
we first read that, we were all like, oh, that is awesome. Like, at the end of the day, I am totally Team Rhoades, but you can't deny that Team Axe has some cool moments.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's definitely one of them. Like, that was so awesome. So very cool. Very well thought out and very well executed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to one of your scenes, the last one you had with Brian's character. You guys were getting up in the morning, the coffee was being made. I mean, that was sort of a dialogue-less scene, but a lot was going on. I mean, can you, like, I can infer some things. Obviously, like you guys are going to the same place, like at work. Is there more than just that awkwardness? Was there regret that you guys talked about? Like, what was sort of the place your characters were in?
Actually, I think that is purposely being left for interpretation.
Okay.
Because I think that there are, really, because there are certain other things that we spoke about that I think that for reasons of building on top of the storyline, they kind of are leaving that open.
Of course.
So I can't say too much about it because I actually think they're actively trying to leave it very open because I don't know where they're going. Because again, we have a season 2, so I'm not sure exactly where they're going with that. But I think it's a very complicated situation because there's, it might look like there are a lot of feelings involved, and then some people think that there are like other ulterior motives going on, and so there's so many people thinking what they think that I think that they're actively trying to leave it open so that they can figure out where they want us to go with it, and so even we don't really know, which is very exciting, to see where we go. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really exciting for us because we've got 2 episodes left in the season, and there's a lot left to be done here. But the question is, I mean, now that this case has been transferred, I mean, what can we look forward to? I mean, if it's been transferred to Eastern, doesn't that kind of take away the motivation from Chuck that he's been going after for 10 weeks?
Sure, if it's really been transferred to Eastern.
Yeah, exactly. Just like he really recused himself.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Technically it has been transferred to Eastern, so sure.
I love it.
That's very good.
Very giving. I love it.
That. One other question for you about a previous episode. Kate has said that she wants to be president someday. She's not confirming, she's not denying that, but that comes from a very driven place from the character, and you need to find that as an actor. So what do you draw on when you're finding this very ambitious, motivations within Kate?
What do I draw on? It's actually a really tricky question because there's no definitive answer for that. I mean, I myself am a very ambitious person, so I pretty much, draw from my own ambitions and then I just translate it into what it would mean for Kate. But I think that Kate is someone who, it's very interesting because Kate's circumstances would actually lead you to believe that she'd be on the Axelrod side, right? Because she's actually quite well off. She comes from a world that's not necessarily... I think in episode 5, Brian even comments on it that one day she'll work for the other side, and her response, which I think is very funny, because I personally love astrology, so I think it's funny that they put it in there that she says, I'm an Aquarius with a trust fund, which I think makes a lot of sense.
That's right.
So she's just someone that I think she's just someone that has, in terms of her circumstances, you would think that she might be rooting for different people or have different goals, but it just so happens that the way that we're going at this moment is that she genuinely is really invested in the justice system. That's actually what she really truly believes in that. It doesn't matter whether she's rich or not. That has nothing to do with it. It's what I liked about Kate in the beginning was that her circumstances do not reflect what it is that she does. You see what I'm saying? Like she could easily work for Axelrod and make more money and do whatever it is that she comes from, but she genuinely has a belief in what she does, and so that's something that she is firmly rooted in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Which I like, because she doesn't wear her wealth on her sleeve, and she's not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
She also does not rule her life by that. Hey, I'm not going to apologize for it, but it is what it is.
And that comes across pretty clearly.
I think most of the Team Rhoades people, Brian has to come to you to get his apartment guarantee. That to me was just crazy. I mean, my goodness. I know apartments in New York are crazy, but to get a guarantee from your subordinate was a truly shocking fact.
That's humbling.
Alina, I know you have another question.
One more question. I asked Kelly this question too, and it always fascinates me. I just want to know, how did you get involved in the project? Like, what was your...
What was my process in terms of even just getting involved?
Well, we know you auditioned on your birthday.
Oddly enough, how it worked was I went in, I auditioned for it, and my first audition for it actually was on my birthday.
Yeah.
So, on my birthday in 2014, I had an audition on my birthday, and I was like, well, you know what, it's great, I'll go in, it's fine. And so I went in with a kind of a nonchalant attitude because it was my birthday.
Which is the best ever.
And then,
Nailed
the
it.
next thing I knew, it was a reality. And then it was like, oh, okay.
Best birthday gift ever.
It was
kidding.
a world that I was not familiar with. But my sister is an attorney, and so she was someone who helped me throughout the whole process. It just so happened that it's weird, but I kind of just feel like I kind of just happened upon it. Like it was something that wasn't built up for me. It was just something that I went in for on my birthday that I felt like it was a really amazing pilot, and so I was like, great, I'll go in for that, and then it just kind of happened.
Wow.
And then what was really cool, how that ended was, so I auditioned on my birthday, right, and on 2014, and then the last day of shooting for me in season 1 happened on my birthday again in 2015. So it was
crazy.
literally
Wow.
an entire
You knew
year.
that?
Full
You should,
circle.
keep auditioning on your
On your
birthday.
birthday.
It is.
I was
It's a
like, what are
winning
the
recipe.
odds of that?
Yeah.
It's so random.
Well, hopefully after this show, you go meeting only from now on, so there's no more auditions in the future.
Exactly.
So everybody out there, just so everybody knows, you can follow Condola online. She's on Twitter at Floella. That's at PHLOELLA. And Condola.
My dad used to call me.
That's
I'm
cool.
glad you said that. I was wondering what that stood for.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad, when I was growing up, my nickname was Floella from my dad.
I love that.
That's so awesome. Are you working on anything else right now other than Billions?
Right now I am working on a new indie film called Bikini, which is kind of heavy, but it's fun. I just did a rehearsal for it yesterday, and we start filming in the beginning of May, and then just right after we stop shooting, I think we go into season 2. So,
Awesome.
just kind of gearing up for that now.
Cool. Well,
Nice.
everybody
Very cool.
follow Condola online. She's live tweeting during all of the Billions episodes and always gives interesting little tidbits as we're going along for each Billions episode. So, any other questions, guys? I know we've taken up a lot of Condola's time.
I
so.
know.
Just thank you for
Yeah,
coming on.
totally.
So
Thank you
awesome.
so
Oh
much.
my God, thank you for having me. This was super fun, actually. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we will hold you to it and have you back again sometime in the future.
All right, sounds great.
Season 2.
Season 2. Yes, congratulations. Congratulations on all your success, and
Yes.
thank you so much for taking some time tonight. That's Condola Rashad, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. What a great interview.
She is
She's
awesome.
so cool.
Her. Love
Yeah.
it.
She's as awesome, even just being, I know it was just her voice, but she's just authentic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
As she is an actor on the show.
You can feel the passion that she has about the
Totally.
project, and even, sometimes when I'm asking her crappy questions, she'll just take it and then like tell you the story about the show that that she knows so much about, and it comes through in her performance. You can
that's
Yeah.
you feel her just like totally into it and absorbed by that world.
Right.
I'm glad she said that her drive was from herself, because you can tell.
Yeah.
That's the best place to get it from.
Yeah.
To drive a character. If it's innate in you, that's what shows so well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it really makes a difference when people enjoy what they do and have fun. Like
Right.
her excitement was just coming out of the phone
Yeah.
in such a way that like I can only imagine when they're at the table reads and doing all these scenes that she does put that back in. I mean, even though Kate is more reserved for sure. I mean, she is a very like old soul,
Yeah.
I guess. But
Right.
it's interesting to see how she can put that energy like into that kind of a person. It really makes the scenes work really well.
Yeah, one of our favorite characters, and a moment we were looking forward to all season long when Kate and Brian finally hook up.
Yeah.
So, we really want to thank Condola for taking the time, and Kelly Alcoyne, who was Dollar Bill, vouched for us on Twitter and helped make it happen. So we'll treat all of our guests really well. So the next step is try to get Toby Moore on the show. So I'm going to be working on that. Everybody tweeted him to come on our AfterBuzz show, and love to have Kelly back. Let's get into the episode breakdown.
Yes.
First of all, our social media shout-outs, which we like to do every week. listeners out there, you guys can use the hashtag ABTV Billions on Twitter and YouTube. You can comment directly on our YouTube page. We'll go through your comments each week and read off what we find most valuable. So, Alina always has Twitter.
Yeah.
What'd you see out there that was really good this year? I'm sure Denise is out there.
Yes, she is. You know she is.
Yeah.
Love her. But we have somebody else, Bill R., who is at Osprey, Florida. Cool. He says Axe stated he made the trades in the European markets, which were open when the planes hit the World Trade Center.
That's right. Okay, so
Good catch.
this is a correction from last week. We had a piece of information from one of our listeners who said that, this couldn't have happened because the New York stock market's closed down. But the truth is he traded on the European market.
Someone on YouTube said that also.
Yeah, DM
way to be on that.
Made that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then Denise said, God, I'm loving this fake argument right now. I think everyone was loving that fake argument.
We all
tonight.
lost it.
That's probably
awesome.
my favorite scene of this series.
Yeah.
Or of, the year.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually an old acting class exercise, right? You have a scene, and then the teacher will tell you to put a different emotion on it.
Right.
So if you're doing a breakup scene, now you're falling in love, but using the words of a breakup. It's so simple, but it was so
hard to
funny.
do.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So well done. That whole time.
I'm going to finger point at you.
Pretend like we're having an argument. It's just so
Exactly,
good.
it's in their faces. Like Damian Lewis's face, you were like, I don't know what you're saying, but I love you.
I love you like a brother.
I thought he was gonna kiss him. Kelly, I thought you were gonna kiss him. I totally thought you were. I was like, that would be a really funny ending, but that's not gonna happen.
Dollar Bill was great in this episode.
Yeah,
he comes back,
killed it.
it's like,
Dollar,
what
dollar,
up?
dollar bill,
I'm
yeah.
back, baby. And then Axe shuts the whole room.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
I love how they were calling him like Kaiser Soze.
Yes, Kaiser.
Well, he's a legend now
He
at that
is.
company.
He is a ledge.
But
for sure.
Axe never misses an opportunity here. A very cold-hearted Axe, we learned tonight. The big reveal at the end of the episode was that Axe turned down the ability to send Donnie to an experimental treatment. Now, why Axe is there making medical decisions for Donnie, I don't know. But ultimately, he prevented Donnie from getting an extra 3 to 4 months with his kids, and so he couldn't be Santa to his children.
Right.
Did that change your perspective of Axe at all? I mean, is there a point where you guys are going to finally change your mind about him? Really cold-hearted guy.
Pretty cold-blooded, I would say. I do think that Axe knew the doctor really well, and that's how he connected. Like he connected that doctor who was really good with Donnie. Because he mentioned something about that when they first met in the bathroom about the whole situation. So I mean, I don't think he should be making those decisions. But at the same time, he was really pulling some strings, got like a top guy, was probably funding the whole thing. So, I think that's just how he plays. Like, he takes complete control. I definitely judge him for that. But I think it is in line with his character to kind of be that gritty and just, there isn't really any remorse. Like, he treats that just like he would a company. I mean, we saw him buy that other company, that small like startup in a empty warehouse, and that was sort of the same way. Like, he completely played them. He does what's best. I think in the end, like, he is, playing the long con.
Was it gritty or was it heartless? What he did, Andrea?
I think it was a moment, and I think he even realized in that moment what he had done and what he had said, but he wasn't going to go back on it because he put his plan in motion, and he wasn't going to screw with it because he has to be clear about it. However, I'm glad that this was brought up, or this happened in this, because another YouTube comment was, but What FC, who comments a lot, which is very cool, said that the 9/11 thing makes him callous, not a crook. And again, here, I think he's just callous. It's a really good way to refer to him, and I think that he just, like I said, the train is set off in motion, and he's not really going to pull the brakes on it.
But
we got a couple of Axe apologists here. Do you feel any differently,
I don't
Alina?
know.
I just feel like, okay, you say it's not callous. I mean, wait, it is callous?
Yeah.
But it's kind of being a crook, like not letting somebody know their
robbing
medical,
time of their
right,
life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that's who he is.
Right. No, it's totally who he is.
That's
totally
who he
expected.
Is. It was wrong.
Yeah.
He should not. I spoke of this before. You allow someone to make their own decisions.
Right.
He did not allow Donnie to make. He didn't allow Donnie to even say, "Hey, buddy. Hey, boss. We already set in motion this plan. Don't worry, it's okay," or whatever. It's Donnie's life. That's his life.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm not.
It was
do not get me wrong.
it is
I'm sorry if that came across wrong.
He didn't know at the time that he had
no
such a big thing for Christmas and all these kids, and I feel like that maybe would have changed.
Does that matter? I don't care if I had a brunch to go to in November. Like, that's my decision. And that's not even saying that the pills or whatever he would take would work, that the trial would work. It's just it's my life. Like
decision.
Yes. You don't take that from them.
Yeah.
And Axe was helping him and stuff. I get it, but no. So I agree.
Fair enough. I mean, I feel like he is.
I'm just saying that's the way Axe is.
I don't know. He's a
surprised.
decision maker. Like, he had to decide, like, right then, like, what is best
For
overall.
him.
Yeah, for him. But like, he also made this arrangement with Donnie. He was like, I will set your family up, but you have to realize that this is happening.
Right.
Like, I make the decisions. Like that. I think
Right,
that
like he
conversation
said,
did
you're
happen.
selling your
It's
soul,
not
basically.
like he just butted his way in, and Donnie wasn't getting anything out of it. He's
mad.
setting his family up. I mean, I realize that Axe has a lot to give, but that doesn't discount what he does do. I feel like it's easy to call him a criminal because it's like, in the scope of billions of dollars, like, is $40 million a lot? I mean, if you look at it that way, like, it isn't as much, but $40 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, setting a family up with that, like, is guaranteeing
Set 3
their future.
families
Like,
up with that.
he
10, I don't know.
completely secured Donnie's family, like, basically the one thing that he was trying to do, and he, like, completely solved all of his problems. So Donnie knew that he was going to die. Like, would he really want 3 more months? I mean,
Heck yeah, you can't ask that question.
Okay,
You cannot ask that question. 'Cause that's
true.
a
Like,
yes.
he probably would.
Yeah,
but
he would have.
I don't know. I feel like.
But I think Axe knew that the axe was coming down on him quick, and he didn't have that time.
I think what JB's point is a legitimate one. They entered into an agreement.
Yes.
You are going to perform this service for me, and the last few weeks of your life are going to be mine.
Yeah.
And he said that to him, so I understand your point. I think the heartlessness that came in for me was that Bobby knew that there was a way to extend his life, and finessed his way with the doctor to say, no, we're not going to go that route.
Yeah.
In a way that sounds nice, like, oh, he's had it so rough, man's been through
Quality
a lot,
of life.
quality of life, et cetera, and the doctor, look, this is a point with this show. We are examining billionaires and how they're basically islands unto themselves. Everything happens around them. There are, we read about stories with celebrities getting any drug they want from a doctor. They walk in and say, oh, my back's hurting, can you give me Vicodin? And there's stories like that everywhere.
Right.
So these doctors are not impervious to fame and influence, especially from billionaire famous people. But there's some part of me that really wanted to say, you need to stick up for him and say, we can get him in. We can give him more life and time with his family. But it was a sort of really dark influence.
Personal.
Granted, we don't know all the facts. I don't know, like, what the experimental thing, like, treatment was. Like, if it really did, if it was like an extreme version of chemotherapy or something, that would, like, really deteriorate your quality of life to a point where, maybe three months, like, wouldn't be worth it. Like, if he's bedridden, plugged up to a bunch of tubes, he's not going to be able to wrap the gifts anyway. So. That's a legitimate thing. Like, people, do choose to end their pain sometimes.
That's true.
Right.
Like, it's often not, like, if your life isn't going to be enjoyed, like, why would you prolong that for no reason?
Yeah, I think you make a great point. I think I would have liked to see Donnie have the choice.
Right.
Right.
In an ideal world, but I mean,
It's
it
billions.
furthers the character, right? Let's switch over to the Rhoades side of the world. Big rift coming between Wendy and Chuck. I mean, what did you see today,
She
Alina?
straight up told him, like when she
To
said those
get
words,
it out.
Just once.
I was like, wow, that's pretty heavy. And I think we all kind of saw this coming. We knew that there was going to be a rift, but to actually, when you say something like that to your spouse, that's
Right.
I've never
Immediately
even
she
said that.
turned around and was like,
I just, that's something really big. So I'm interested to see what'll happen, especially in the next couple of episodes.
The riff from that was pretty inappropriate.
Because they didn't
Him.
really get back together in the episode after that. We didn't have a scene with them.
This was primarily focused on
Yeah.
Donnie throughout, so we didn't see a whole lot of Rhoades. But you're right. I mean, Chuck walks away from the funeral, and then we never see them make up. So
Yeah.
this is something for next week to see what happens.
oh, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
And at least by the end of the season, like she said, it
Yeah.
has to be not exactly resolved even. I don't think it will. I think it'll be a nice cliffhanger because it's going to push to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the question is, and we asked it last week, is this marriage going to survive? I think we will know by the end of the season whether or not it is going to survive, and it may have to do with this case. We got a great clue from Condola, which is why I asked. One of my big questions watching this episode was, how is this going to go on if the case is gone?
Right.
Where do we go as a TV show? How do we go into season 2?
Yeah.
But she said, well, that's assuming that it is.
Right.
How do you see this playing out, JB?
I don't know. I see it a couple different ways because even though they're transferring it to a different division, it's still under the same umbrella. We saw Chuck do the same thing with this judge, and yet he still was able to pull the strings and have what he wanted happen. Yeah. So just because he's been recused, and that didn't stop him. So I don't think that it being covered under a different department or a different wing is really going to slow them down. Maybe they'll be doing other cases, but I think that at Chuck, at the very least, will be keeping tabs on the process.
I think so too. Andrea, I mean, what do you see coming for this?
I think there's going to be a lot more scheming, which I kind of like because it's bringing it back to the few earlier episodes where Chuck was very thought out with his plans, and we lost him for a little bit, and I think that's when we stopped liking him when he was reacting emotionally instead of using his brain and trying to be strategic.
That's right.
So clearly in this episode they made it a point to say, back up, take the emotions out, we have to go back to the beginning of playing the game the way we play it, and we like that. So we like that, Rhoades. Let's see how he does it. Because look, even with him getting rid of the judge, there was a good reason, and he found the weak spot. So Frank doesn't buy it. But I'm just saying it's a little less proactive. It's reactive, but with that plan already in motion.
Yeah, I mean, it was a showcase episode for Paul Giamatti. He was having a lot of fun this episode.
Yes, but he did in the
makes that
beginning.
speech.
He lost his fun for a little bit.
That's true, and it's back now.
Yes.
Alina, how is this
His
going to
mojo.
continue? I mean, do you agree with Andrea?
I agree with Andrea. I'm excited to see where his whole character goes. I'm glad that he's back. He's thinking with his head again. And I don't think that it's gone. I don't think the case is gone from him.
No.
He's definitely figured out a way to somehow still have it. And especially we saw in the scene with his dad, he was like, when his dad said, don't lose this for us, it's his thing. He's not going to lose it. This is just so embedded in him that he won't lose it.
And that's a great point you bring up, that scene. There's a lot of the dad getting involved and living vicariously through his
for
son.
Sure.
It is such a turnoff to me to watch. It's
He's always bad news bears when he's on camera, when the dad comes into the scene.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a lot of fun to watch Jeff Demers and Paul Giamatti go at it. But he's so annoying as a character that you just want nothing to do with him. All right, well, let's move into our final segment of the show, which is always predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV prediction.
And we kind of talked about this a minute ago. I kind of previewed this, asking everybody what they were thinking, how this is coming next week with the case and everything else. But maybe not a prediction if you're not comfortable with that. I know I'm putting Alina on the spot. Oh, you have one this week. Take it away.
Okay, so obviously, like we were talking about, Rhoades still going to be on the case somehow. I think Wendy is going to be looking for maybe even a way out of Axe, Axe's whole business, because I don't think Axe trusts her anymore. And especially the whole scene with like Laura going in there saying she was, poking around and snooping, and even the way he was treating her at the funeral. I think there's going to be a little rift between them as well.
So the scene between Lara and Bobby where he says, "I trust her," it was not enough for you?
No.
Okay.
I think because just seeing the way he reacted to her at the funeral.
Right.
He was pretty cold to her, and he normally isn't. And she even asked him, when was the last time we've had a session? All of this stuff. And he was really, really cold. So I think something is going to happen there. And I think Lara is not going to want Wendy around at all anymore.
She ready to.
Yeah.
Andrea.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like Wendy is just poking around for her own self, because she's an island right now.
Right.
She's just stuck in the middle, and she just wants to know what's going on. I'm frustrated for her. And also, it feels like, okay, Bobby's like, well, then I don't need you anymore. And I feel like she feels that too, that she doesn't, Donnie was one of her big guys, and then she hears Wags say 40 million, so she knows something's going on, and I think she wants to find out, but at the same time, I don't think she cares. I think she just wants to live her life with everything on the table, and she knows that's not the case right now. So whatever. Yeah. I think, go ahead, make the predictions without me. I'll just keep watching.
Just and here's something else I was thinking.
Yeah.
And let's go to somebody else's prediction. But look, my prediction's sort of based on yours, so I'm going to talk JP. And I think that the central argument that's going to be resolved before the end of the season is not this case and the pursuit of Chuck against Bobby, but rather Wendy's future at Axe Capital.
Right.
It's building up. We saw, again, another tension-filled scene with Lara and Wendy, and now, we don't have enough time for Chuck to indict Bobby.
No.
We've got 2 episodes left. It's just not enough time to get all that done. So I really think the season finales or next week's episode is going to be primarily focused on what Wendy's future is. Is she going to still be there or not? And I think ultimately she's going to have an offer from an outside firm that is attractive to her, at the same time that Lara is putting more and more pressure on Bobby to get rid of her. And there's going to be a confrontation scene between them all. And the outcome, I really don't know. It could go 50-50 either way. But I think that's what we're going to be focusing on in the next 2 weeks. Jamie?
Interesting. Well, actually, I'm going to do some predictions from the interwebs. The
listener
some listener comments on YouTube had some predictions.
Okay.
Coughed 2009 interestingly predicts that there's something more with Kate. She's got a bad feeling about her, and she says that there's something off with her. She's really smart and ambitious, but there is something else. So that could be interesting, sort of a surprise twist with Kate's character. And DM said that he has a feeling that Chuck's boss, DeGiulio, is a mole for Axe.
Wow.
So that would be a huge
That would be
twist.
interesting, yeah.
Which, he seems like a young-ish guy, so for him to be above Chuck is kind of an interesting situation.
Agreed.
That, might add up to something like that.
Well, Chuck is an elected official, and then the U.S. Attorney Assistant is appointed.
Right.
So different roles there, but an interesting thought, too, at the same time, and that'd be a big twist. A great listener prediction out there. You guys can always comment on our YouTube page with your predictions. So anyway, that's going to be it for this week. We want to thank Condola Rashad again for taking time to come out and be on our show. Kelly Alcoin, Dollar Barrel Stern was on a few weeks ago. Toby Leonard Moore, you are next. I'm coming for you. I want you on this show, and we're going to make it happen. So that's going to be it, everybody, for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to the AfterBuzz TV After Show for Billions. We'll be back next week. We have 2 episodes left, but until then, we have been Alina Vision.
You guys can find me at Alina Vision on Twitter and Instagram.
And Andrea Fasano.
Hey guys, same for me, Twitter and Instagram at Andy Fasano.
This is John Blake Zimmerman.
Hey, you guys can find me at Hey John Blake.
And I'm Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. 2 episodes left, people. Woo! We'll see you back next week. Happy Easter. Go out and be blessed. And until then, make it rain!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.